George and brothers and sisters, Bwana Yesu asifiwe. Bwana Yesu asifiwe. Wacha amen ni tek. Kosa kit ng'ate dho oto go nyu kwa tieko. We want to take this opportunity once again to bring our very sincere condolences to the family on this tragic loss. I am a bit happy because real information is today shared. The way our people run with social media can be sickening. And it is never done by people who are very stupid. It is done by people who think they are very wise and very intellectual. The people who run with things on social media are just like that one seated next to you. Ebu muangalie vizuri. But I'm happy that the issue has been brought to our attention, and we now know what might have happened. When this news struck, I was seated right there on that Thursday because we had a funeral service in this church. And then I received a message from Reverend Elizabeth through the husband's phone. And I thought that she didn't know what she was talking about. And when the confirmation came, it hit me like a thunderbolt. I have known the family for over 30 years. Because when I started my ministry as a young priest, I was serving in their parish. And both George and Huntington were young men who had just ventured outside. But their father was a good friend of mine. Philip, you must have been 1 year old. But we did a lot together, and we grew up together. And Pidgeot 505 akwongo idho mar Huntington. Moro marateng. You remember that car? Otinga all the way from Kisumu to Nairobi. I only used to go to Nairobi boarding a Kamba. That's the first time I went to Nairobi in a small car. And so you can imagine that probably I knew him very close. Things happen. And sometimes when they happen, we need to seek the face of God. And we need to continue asking God why, so that he may be able to show us what next. And we want to thank God for the family because God has given them strength even to stand here and say the things they have said. We trust that tomorrow during the final journey, it will be well. And I had shared with the family how we want to maintain dignity by keeping time. In Luo funerals, the people who shout that they want to hear speeches leave the family before the burial is done. Kopo nkata koth moro biro to koth goyo wago e dhobur ginta gisetimre nade gise, but you are busy entertaining them and maintaining them. So I want to believe that tomorrow we will go by representation. Those who will speak will be representation, so that we can do this burial in a dignified way. I would not wish to live without burying Huntington. And I'll be traveling to Busia after the burial because of a function together with my Archbishop at Katakwa on Sunday. Koro kiny watim maber monda wuog chon monda chop Busia. But that aside, a lot has been spoken here today. And we have read about the final judgment where the Lord will put us into two groups, like a shepherd puts the sheep and the goats. One group on the right, another group on the left. And the final judgment will come to us depending on how we lived our lives here. Because the Bible is saying that they will be judged, we will be judged according to our actions. Did you get it right? Then he will divide them into two groups, and he will put the righteous on his right and the others on the left. Two categories, the righteous and the others. Jomalongo gijia. You know, when you look at human beings, all of them look noble, isn't it? Until you start scrutinizing tabia zao, is when you realize that the person who is looking noble is not noble. But we like lies more than the truth. And when people come and tell us lies, we think this is a great man, a great person. And so we fall easily for lies. But the Bible is saying that those on the left, he will tell them, the right ndio ataanza nayo. He will tell them, come, you that are blessed by my Father. The righteous have another meaning now. They're not only righteous, but they are described as those who are blessed. Are we together? And then listen to what they are told. Come and possess the kingdom which has been prepared for you ever since the creation of the world. Why are they possessing the kingdom? Because the Lord is saying he was hungry and they fed him. He was naked and they clothed him. He was in prison and they visited him. We have listened to several speeches here. And was that Engineer Tom who spoke passionately about what is happening in our country with KRA and many other things. Now, unajua, these things are happening, but what are our leaders telling us? What is Mbadi telling us? That they are firmly in broad. Now wanasema hatutoki because this is the first time we are enjoying the fruits of broad-based. Sebe tukapenjo gimulo. Niwang neka joluo kuongo bedo cabinet secretaries. Okay, rodongo mamo giniga to niluongo nango. Ndolo ayo ringo girika. But they were occupying the same position. I've heard it more than 10 times. When somebody says, Nijo luotinde ko odonje sirikal mane poko donjo guy, and there are only 2 cabinet ministers in Luoland. To kinemorone gina uchiel. Maybe some of you are not born. Yet our people are still suffering. Suffering over things that they could get solutions over. You know, there was a time it was all said that the Luos are very cheap people. Now what ninyi ugu pesa di? You remember this history, isn't it? By that time ninyi ugu pesa di? Has your price gone higher now, or you are still just cheap as you were that time? Look at your neighbor and ask him or her, how cheap is she or him? Because when Opio Wanda is made a CS and Bad is made a CS, you are all over how you are enjoying in this government. You know, the irony is, people from Mount Kenya have got 6 or 7 cabinet positions and over 6 PSS, and they're being treated as if they are in opposition. It is the Luos who are in the government who is mad in this arrangement. Maybe my mathematics is poor. Who is mad in this arrangement? I counted them the other day. There are about 8. The mutahi Kikuyus of this world, the Kikuyus. Unto ungario kende to kwane ndune serikal. And then what are you delivering by being there? Is there anything you are delivering? You have become a choir and a chorus. I don't think there is any government that has killed its people more than the Ruto government in history of Kenya. Kok onego ji of stress to jibedo abducted to kunwanku modhiye. High cost of living. But our people have been hoodwinked. And anywhere they are singing songs that we don't understand. Dongene wa winyo Ruto no mayo Raila kura. Koze mache ni wuondo wawuona no komayo Raila kura. No, let us speak the truth. Then we have been cheated. A state funeral. Koro Ruto has good meaning for us because he's giving our dead state funeral. When you die and you are given a state funeral, now everybody follows you because somebody has been given a state what? Ofo or nama. Where are we headed to? Where are we headed to? Because the Bible says here that those who would be reckoned as righteous are those people who are taking care of the needy in the society. 40 children that Huntington was paying school fees for are now left homeless and hopeless unless some miracle happens. And the Bible says that those who are reckoned righteous are those who are taking care of the needy, clothing the naked, feeding the hungry, visiting the sick, and providing for their needs. And the same means of livelihood is what is not viable because we have a hungry government that is looking for any means of income so that they can fill their pockets. If you cannot pay people who have genuinely worked, and then you are running with the choppers that you are doing empowerment, my foot. Don't go in your empowerment. Yule mtu wa soprano, leo ako siji wapi, the next day ako somewhere because he's doing what? Anafanya nini? What kind of empowerment are you doing when genuine workers cannot be paid what legally belongs to them? We are in a sick nation, a very sick nation. Manajua, we're morone waweroga kawane choir about the world. I don't know whether this choir also sang it. Dereva akiwa shetani. Ha? Na dereva akiwa shetani. Mwisho wake tuko hatarini, and we must admit that. Jowadwa, we have lost a great person. And you can see that the gap that is left may never be filled. But I want to pray with the family that our God will be able to give you peace, to give you solace, and you will be able to rejoice in the fact that you lived with him. You know his virtues. You know what he stood for. And now the challenge is how to carry this legacy to the next level. Mama Harry and Justus, the world is looking at you. How you will move Huntington's legacy to the next level. I'm happy that when I read what you have said about him, you talked of integrity. One single thing that we are lacking in the personalities we have everywhere is integrity. Somebody who would stand and say what he means and means what he says. You know, many people did not know Huntington in circles outside his professional life. I remember there was a time when some people were pushing him to join politics. Maybe Mama Harry, you remember that. They wanted him to contest, especially when Job Omino died. And he told me, Padri, siaso kanyalo donje, siaso joga. Because most politicians are thieves. Yeah, some of them are my friends, and I know most of them are thieves. There are few of them who have integrity, and they can be counted. You know, the single most problem in Kenya is that people are competing at who can steal more than the other. Katakira Ngojo Mimi, your head of state commendation, some of them are thieves. Dongenyechu neno ko Migi Awards during Kenyatta Day. In that list, 3/4 are thieves. And probably they are being given commendation because they have stolen. Where is our integrity? The Bible is telling us that those who are not righteous will be thrown into damnation, and they will be sent off to eternal punishment. You look at the history about Huntington, about what he did and what he stood for, and you are satisfied that he lived a life that is commendable. Nitie gimoro manotimore ma some of us may have forgotten. When he was resident engineer in Kisumu, isn't it? Kindeno neka president biro tigolo bumps and ara. What happened? One time when no bumps were removed, because Huntington said, if we remove the bumps, what is going to happen to our roads? So he was transferred to another place. Magoti nde wicho wilego. Tumetoka mbali na hii Kenya yetu. We are just trying and struggling to remain Kenyans. I don't know whether it is a Kenyan problem or it is an African problem. Yo uneno suluhu kabino lokre suluhu Tanzania ka. And they are friends. They talk over the phone. Kose loso gumuse moroma kochache do loso gumujanja wani. And then they seal things. That is why abductions are being done and you don't hear where those people have gone to. May the Lord help us. so that at a personal level, we make a personal decision that you want to lead a life which has integrity. You want to live a life that is beyond reproach. You want to stand for the truth. And you firmly want to maintain your dignity. We have seen it in him. And so even as we celebrate his life, those who are closer to him, you need to be happy that he has set an example worthy of emulation. And so, our prayer is that the Lord may be able to rest his soul in eternal peace. Choir will give us a soft hymn as the family comes forward for prayers.